Okay, so there we have our carton. We have all of our wicks in there. What I want to do now is I want to start heating up the wax. And in the meantime, while the wax is heating, I'm going to fill all of these little cavities with sawdust. I'm going to find me a small piece of wood or something to lay behind it so that I can get you a good angle. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this section of the egg carton off, because I don't need that. So set that aside, set that like that, and we're going to fill them with sawdust. Be very generous with your sawdust. Don't skimp. So anytime I do a wood project, I like to save my sawdust. And like I mentioned earlier, these aren't necessarily candles per se, they're more fire starter. The wicks are just something to get the thing started. That's all the wicks are for, really. So let's see how we're looking here. Now I want to go through and I want to make sure all the wicks are poking through a little bit. Just want to make sure the wicks are poking through where I can see them. Doesn't have to be anything too fancy. The sawdust is basically going to be our fuel. I'm going to top them off a little bit more. Just wanted to make sure that the wicks were coming through good. These are excellent for fire starters. They really are. They burn really good. Okay, now that looks good. Just kind of wiggling it around to get it all pretty much uniform. So now I'm going to wait for the wax to heat up. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for the wax, I'm going to cut this other section off. Just like so. It looks good. Man, it's probably going to take maybe 5 minutes to get that wax up to speed, up to temperature. And the way I like to tell that it's up to temperature is I'll start to see smoke coming out of the wax. That wax, you can see smoke starting to come out of the top, so it's plenty hot. I'm going to go ahead and take my little cover, extinguish my stove, and from here I'm going to start pouring wax into the carton with the sawdust. So here I'm going to have to switch over to this side. It's kind of a messy job. I try to pour directly onto the wicks. So that I can get plenty of wax on them. Let me give you a little closer view here. You'll see a little bit of steaming look coming out of the sawdust, and what that steaming is that's the wax actually soaking into the wood, and that's the air coming out. So you're replacing the air with wax in the sawdust. So we're just soaking this whole thing. And as you can see, I'm using a lot of wax. And I'm soaking the whole thing. And then I'll wait and I'll look at it, and obviously you can see by my bench back here that I'm making a mess. This is kind of a messy job. I'm just correcting these wicks. If you got any wicks that are kind of getting out of position, you want them to be fairly centered. Doesn't have to be that big of a deal, but you want them pretty close to center. So for the most part, looks like we're pretty much done. Now I'm going to sit and let these dry. I'll probably give them, I don't know, half an hour or something like that. So we'll see you soon. So I'm here looking at my table. You can see that I have a bunch of wax on the table from where I've spilled. That's okay. What we want to do is we want this wax to go ahead and solidify, and I've moved the carton to a place where it'll be able to dry a little quicker. I put it in a cool place in the shade. So I'll come back and I'll look at all this and I'll pick this wax up and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and clean up this wax. It's had a little bit of time to dry, so I'm basically gonna just get it off of my tools here. I have my wax bucket and I have a small chisel. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the chisel and I'm just gonna kind of drag it under the table. Bring up this wax. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, you're probably wondering about the wax getting dirty. And it does. It gets a little dirty because sometimes you get a little sawdust in it or something. But if all you're making is survival candles, it's not really that big of a deal. And if you're worried about the sawdust in the wax, a good fix is to get it up to temperature and run it through a filter. And what I like to use is just a standard paper towel. So I'm just sitting here rubbing it, you know, getting it, freeing it up, and it's eventually going to go into the back into the pot to be heated up, and I'll probably filter it because most of the time I'm making candles, not survival candles, just regular candles. So yeah, in fact I might even share the process of cleaning the wax with you so you can see how I do it. But that's all you have to do. And the piece of wood that I'm working on is not my actual bench. It's just a piece of 2 by 10 or 2 by 12 that I'm using, because I don't want to do this kind of dirty work on my bench. You know, this thing I can lift and take it wherever I want. It's just sitting here. So I'm here, I got my bucket, I'm just pouring it in there. And for the most part, my candle table here is back ready for another round. So I'll do a little bit more cleaning, but for the most part you get the hint. Okay, here's our candles, or fire starters, whatever you want to call them. They've had a chance to dry. And this is what the bottom looks like. Had a little bit of wax leak through, no problem. So now I'm going to take my scissors and hopefully cut these things apart. It's not that big of a deal. So you'll cut there, and then you'll cut here. And that's what the individual candles will look like. You can cut the excess you can cut the excess milk carton off if you'd like. I don't. I generally leave it like that, simply because of the fact that I'm making these for fire starters, and I like as much material as I can get. So I leave everything on them, personally. So as you can see, the cutting isn't anything spectacular. Just very primitive, very basic. Again, we're just making fire starters. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. So there you have it. Now what I'll do is I'll light one up so we can take a look and see what it does, what it looks like. Whoop. Went out. Move those out of the way. We'll focus in on this guy. One thing that I like to do is I like to put them in a small pan just to contain them. Like I said, they work really good for starting fires and things like that. If you get one of these started and you want to ignite it, you want to put it out, same thing, you can smother it. Just like the other ones. Just like the stoves. But I'm going to go ahead and let it burn a little more. I just wanted to show you that you can put them out. But I like to use these when it might be moist outside, or maybe I'm having trouble, getting a fire started. I'll just throw one of these under my tinder bundle and they work really good to get that fire going. And they last about, I don't know, 10 minutes or something like that. So anyway, like always, I appreciate you guys watching my channel. Appreciate all the comments, all the kind words. Thank you so much for the support. I hope you found some good, useful information here. I hope you have fun watching my channel. Feel free to subscribe. And again, thanks for watching. And I'll keep good material coming your way. So have a good day, everybody. I'm not going to end the video right now. I'm just going to let this thing burn so that you can watch it if you'd like. So have a good one. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.